Guys, today I'm making a grandma-style pizza from scratch. I'm making a pizza dough, and then I'm gonna make a pepperoni pizza, which so good, delicious and big, so there's plenty to go around. I just sprinkled 1.5 teaspoons of active dry yeast over 2¼ cups of water. I'm just letting that sit there for a few minutes just to make sure that it's active, and it should start bubbling and getting kind of foamy. Then I know it's active and I start adding my flour. It's 6 cups of all-purpose flour. So this does make a really large recipe. It's enough to fill an entire sheet pan. If you don't want to make such a big pizza, you can certainly make this whole recipe and divide it in half and make it in something smaller, and you can freeze pizza dough, which is kind of awesome. Or you can make multiple pizzas, or you can keep it in your refrigerator for up to a day or two. 2 tablespoons sugar. A tablespoon plus 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt. I know that seems like a weird amount, but that was the amount that we found to be like the perfect balance, so I know, it's crazy. And 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Stir everything together in the bowl, and then this is going to be kneaded by hand. You can also make this in a machine if you have a strong mixer. Making doughs in mixers is great. I usually take my rings off when I'm about to knead because the dough gets into all the crevices and it's very difficult to clean. It's sort of raggedy. It hasn't really come together as a dough yet, but that's totally okay. You can dump that right onto your counter and then bring everything together there. It's pretty soft dough, but it shouldn't be too sticky. If you find that it's getting sticky as you're kneading it, once you've incorporated all of the flour, just add a little bit more. But you don't want to add too much. You want to have a sort of loose-ish dough. Soft, not stiff. Once you start your actual kneading, you want to knead it until it's smooth and silky. My surface doesn't have a ton of flour on it, and I don't want to incorporate too much, like I said, so I'm just sprinkling enough that it doesn't stick to my hands or the surface as I knead it. Starting to stick, so just a tiny bit more flour. It's getting much smoother already, and I've only been kneading for a couple of minutes. When the dough is smooth and elastic, you're going to want to let it rise. Put it into an oiled bowl. Turn to coat so that it doesn't get dry on the surface, and then cover with some plastic wrap. And you're going to want to let this rise in a warm place until it's doubled in volume. That'll take 1.5 to 2.5 hours at room temperature. That depends on your room temperature and how warm/cool it is. You can also let this rise in the refrigerator, and that will allow it to develop even more flavor because it rises more slowly, and that will take up to overnight, probably 12 to 16 hours. When the dough is risen, you should be able to make an indent in it that will not spring back with your finger, and that's exactly what's going on here. This is going to cook on a rimmed baking sheet, and you want to drizzle that generously with olive oil, about 3 tablespoons. Then dump your dough directly onto the baking sheet. You're going to press it into the baking sheet to fill the sheet. Work your fingers from the center outwards, and it should easily fill the pan. If it starts getting too elastic, which sometimes happens with doughs like this, you can just let it sit for a few minutes and it will relax the glutens in there and allow you to sort of fill the pan more completely. But this is a pretty large dough, so you shouldn't have too much of a problem. The oil in here is going to give you a really crunchy, delicious crust once it bakes. Just you wait and see. All right, this is looking good. It's not completely into the corners, but it's gonna rise for another 30 to 45 minutes. So it's definitely gonna fill in the pan as that happens. Give it a cover and let it rise. Like I said, it should be doubled in volume. That can take anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes, and sometimes a little longer depending on the temperature of your room. It's puffed. It's ready to go in the oven. I have the oven preheated to 500 degrees, and on the bottom rack I have a pizza stone. If you don't have a pizza stone, you can use an inverted rimmed baking sheet instead. Drizzle this with just a little bit more oil. and season with some salt and pepper. You want to layer your flavors in here. You don't want anything not seasoned. And then this gets pre-baked because it's very thick and you want to make sure that it's baked through by the time everything is done. So we found that if we baked this for about 5 to 7 minutes, so the top was setting, it baked much better and it was like less gummy. So get this into the oven for about 5 minutes. I have a tablespoon of fresh oregano here. Just chop it a little bit, coarsely chop. If you don't have access to fresh oregano, you can use dry oregano. I'd use maybe a teaspoon. It's much stronger, believe it or not, than the fresh. I also have some pepperoni, 6 ounces of pepperoni, a pound of grated mozzarella cheese, and 2 cups of cooked tomato sauce. This is a recipe we have on our website. If you want to make our sauce, go get the recipe. If not, you can use whatever favorite pizza sauce you have. Let's see. It's just setting on the top. Perfect. You're going to start the base with about 1 1/4 cups of sauce. I refused to measure, so spread it to the edges. I always find when I'm making pizza, I'm like, oh, that doesn't seem like very much sauce. And then you bake it and it really actually is plenty of sauce. It's weird. Cheese. An even sprinkling. The remaining sauce, it's about 3/4 of a cup more sauce. Dollop. Dollop. Oh my gosh, yum. And then whatever topping you want, I'm using pepperoni, pretty much whatever you want. But crumbled cooked sausage would be nice. I mean, come on, you guys know what you want on your pizza. Write in the comments below and let me know. All right, that seems like plenty, right? Sprinkle with the oregano. Now what you want to do is bake it. Bake it until the crust is puffed and golden brown and the cheese is bubbling. That should take about 20 minutes. I know, right? That looks amazing. Oh my gosh, it smells like a real pizzeria in here. I cannot wait to eat it, though I am gonna wait just a few minutes because that cheese is molten hot. So give it a few minutes to rest and enjoy. And when you make this, let me know. What do you put on top of your pizza? Write in the comments below. If you like recipes like this and you want more, make sure to click like and subscribe because we have plenty more where this came from.